Hey everybody, everybody, and welcome to the fourth and final video of this series. Again, John McCabe, and I'm showing you how you can buy a home with $100 down, even when the banks say no. This is the fourth and final video. Just a recap in the first three videos. The first one we talked about financing, basically how are we going to finance the home. And we're going to do that by going directly to the homeowner and get them to rent us their home for a period of time, say 3 years, and then allow us to buy it at when that time frame is up. So we're going directly to them, bypassing the banks, bypassing the realtors, going directly to the homeowner, getting them to do this. The second video was all about attracting these individuals to you so you don't have to try to figure out who's interested in doing this and who isn't. There's a lot of homeowners out there that are more than willing to do this because of the state that they're in with their property right now, because of they can't afford to keep it, they can't afford to sell it. There's a lot of people out there willing to do this. Then it's just about getting coming to an agreement with price and terms, which is video 3. We talked about negotiating, and we talked about price, talked about terms. Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about closing the deal. So after you've attracted the homeowners, you've met with them, you've done some negotiation, you've got the price you want for the rent, for the purchase price, you've got the terms in place. Now it's time to close that deal. Now it's time to do up some contracts. Now these are very, with this particular structure. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to mention in the last video. When you're talking to a homeowner, there's 3 words that you never say. And those 3 words are rent to own. You never say rent to own to a homeowner. It's okay if I say that to a person that wants to get into a home. It's like rent to own. But when you're talking to a homeowner, it's always, I'm looking to rent your house for 2 to 3 years and then buy it. That's exactly what you say. Yeah, I'm looking to rent your home for 3 years and then buy it. Or my company's looking to rent your home for 3 years and then buy it. Never use the words rent to own. If they say, oh, it's like rent to own, you say, yeah, it's something like that. And then just move on. So we're talking about closing the deal. So we've already negotiated. We've got the price. We've got the terms. We know how this is all going to work out. So now it's about putting the contracts in place. And there's 3 contracts, 3 specific contracts that you need. This is a specialized, and there are contracts that the lenders want to see. And there's things in the contracts that the lenders want to make sure that are in there. So you need to have a lease. A lot of times you can just have your typical resident tenancy lease, whatever province you're in. You can use that tenant lease if you wanted to. Worst case scenario, you could use that, because bottom line is everything is governed by the Resident Tenancy Act when it comes to rental. So even though you're leasing it and you have the option to buy it, everything is governed with the rental portion is governed by the Resident Tenancy Act. So you need to abide by whatever the rules, regulations, or laws are. So even if you just use the application or the contract that the Resident Tenancy Act in your province uses, it's okay. We have our own much lengthier contract for the lease, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what's in the lease, how much, how little. It's whatever is said in the Resident Tenancy Act in your province. Now, the second contract is what's called an option contract, and that gives you the ability or the option to buy that property in the future at a set price. So this is the powerful document. This gives you the ability to purchase the home, and also gives you protection from the homeowner that they can't sell the home out from underneath you to anybody else. And when you get these contracts done, you want to register them against the property, register them against the title, so that the homeowner cannot do anything. He cannot refinance the property. He cannot sell it to anybody else. He can't do anything out from underneath you. So it's very important that when you get these contracts done, that you get them registered. And the third contract is the actual purchase contract, which would be the purchase contract that your area uses for conducting real estate purchases. It's typically a standard purchase contract in whatever area you are living in. In our province, I'm in Alberta, the province of Alberta, so it's an area form, like it's a very standard purchase contract that the realtors use across Alberta. So I'm sure whatever city you're in, whatever province you're in, they have standard contracts, and typically you can get a copy of those. You can talk to your lawyer. You might even be able to download a copy online. So, but there's three main contracts you need. That's a lease, an option, and the purchase contracts, and you need to get those filled in with the price and the terms and all the things that you negotiated with the homeowner. So once you sit down with the homeowner, you've done all that, you've got those registered on title. Now you get to move into your home, and you have a period of time in order to qualify to get a mortgage. So let's say that I negotiated that I have 3 years to buy the home at the end of the term for $300,000. So that's, I'm renting the place for $1,600 a month. I have 3 years lease option with the owner, and I'm going to buy it at the end of the 3 years for $300,000. So you know that in the traditional financing world, you need a minimum of 5% down. So 5% of $15,000, 5% of $300,000 is $15,000. So I know that I would need to have $15,000 at the end of the 3 years for my down payment. So that gives me 3 years to come up with $15,000. Okay. So if I were to take $15,000 and divide it by 3 years, that's $5,000 a year, and divide that by 12 months, that's just over $400 a month. Let's just say $450 a month. So I know that during that 3-year time frame, I need to come up with $15,000. I need the $15,000 to buy the home. So that works out to be, let's say, $450 a month. So I know that I have to put $450 a month away, so that at the end of the 36 months, I have my $15,000 plus a little bit more, because there's going to be closing costs, lawyer costs, all that. So let's just round it up to $500 a month over 36 months. So that gives us $18,000. So that means $15,000 for the down payment, gives us $3,000 extra to cover any of our closing costs. Okay, great. So $500 a month. So am I just going to put that in a bank? What am I going to do? So I recommend putting it in a place where you can't access it easily. Because if you're just putting it in a separate savings account, it's so easy, and people are so tempted just to take that money out. And then the next thing you know, 3 years goes by and they don't have that money. So that's why in when I do a rent own where I'm the man in the middle, I get my tenant buyers, people like yourself who don't qualify. You give me a chunk of money up front. Let's say in this scenario, you'd give me $7,500 up front, and then every month you'd pay me rent, and then you'd pay me a little bit extra every month. So I would be your forced savings. Like, you're giving me, so at the end that I make sure that you have your $15,000. So that's I'm forcing you to do that savings through me, because I'm not going to give you your money back. So if you say, I need $300, can you give me $300 back? No, that's not going to happen. So since you're cutting a person out like myself out of the equation, you're the one responsible for saving your money. So the best way that I would recommend that you save your money, and plus you're going to get tax breaks by doing that, is open up either an RSP account or a tax-free savings account, and you set it to put $500 in every single month, so that at the end of the term, you have that money built up and you're able to pull it out and use it for your down payment on your future home. That way it's sort of out of reach, out of mind. Even if you can get it taken directly off your check, even better. If your employer will take it directly off your check. If you're self-employed, you'll need to set that up, have your accountant set that up as well. And also, if you're self-employed, it's very imperative that you speak to the mortgage broker as to how you need to structure your finances to be able to qualify to buy the home. Because there's things that typically for our mortgage broker that gives advice. If you're a home, if you own your own corporation or you're self-employed, you still need to make X amount of money to qualify for that home. So on your T4s, you need to be able to claim that much money as income. Okay, so it's very important to speak to your mortgage broker during this. So first step is getting the contracts done. Second step is, if you haven't done so already, is meeting with the mortgage broker and the credit coach to lay out your plan. And third is starting to put your money away for your down payment, whether that be an RSP, tax-free savings account, some method that where you're just putting it in and you can't take it out. And it's not in a high risk where, all of a sudden, like the stock drops and you end up with nothing. You want something that's very secure, low risk, that your principal is not going to go away. So doing that. So, the 3 years goes by, you're doing what the credit coach tells you, you're putting your money away, you're saving your money. So 6 months prior to the end of the 3-year term, it's time to sort of get everything going. It's time to contact your mortgage broker, say, 6 months, you're going to buy this house. Let's start the paperwork. Credit coach, anything I need to do. Contact the bank or wherever the financial institution that's holding your money, say, here's my purchase contract. On this date, I need to buy this home. So let's start the process of, making those funds available. I'm going to continue to make my payments, but I need to make sure that the mortgage broker has access to those funds for my down payment on this day. So 6 months out, you're getting all that stuff in place. And then actually, once the day comes, it's actually very easy because you've already, you've released the money for the down payment. The mortgage broker does most of the work. They're the ones that are dealing with the lenders and getting you the best rate, and you fix your credit so everything's all good. And it's just a matter of, at the end of the day, day before, whatever, the lawyer calls you in to sign some documents and it's done. Then the day that it actually closes, you're the proud owner of the home. So just to recap, so closing the deal, this is the final thing. So after you finish negotiating, get the price and terms, you do up the contracts, purchase contract, lease contract, and the option contract. Then you have that time frame, let's just say it's 3 years, that you need to put money away every single month to make sure you have your down payment. So I recommend a RSP or a TFSA in order to save the money so it's out of your reach, something that just happens automatically. Dealing with the credit coach and the mortgage broker right at the very beginning, so you're doing what they tell you to do, you're getting everything fixed. So at the end of the 3 years, you're in a position to be able to buy that property. Everything closes smoothly and it's a done deal. But we all know everything does not happen smoothly in the world for us at all times. So what if I'm not able to buy the property at that point in time? Well, one thing that I do in all my contracts is I always do a 12-month extension automatically. So when the homeowner agrees to the terms, if it's a 3-year term, I have the ability to automatically extend it by 1 year if I so choose. And there's nothing the homeowner can do about it. I just tell them I am exercising my 1 year extension. So that will give you a little bit more time. Maybe you switch jobs just before it's time to close. So whenever that happens, you need that time history. So you need a little bit more time in order for the banks to lend you the money. So in my contracts, I always have that 1 year extension built in just for these occasions. So that's closing the deal. Like I said, this is the fourth video of a 4-part series. We talked about the financing. We talked about attracting these homeowners. We talked about negotiating with them. And now we're talking about closing the deal. And what the important part of closing the deal is, like, the biggest part is the contracts, the lease, the option contract, as well as the purchase contract, getting those done correctly up front, and that abide by all the rules, the laws. So you have the Resident Tenancy Act for the lease contract. You have the The purchase contract is typically your standard real estate contract that is used by realtors in your province. And then you have the option contract, which abides by the Property Act of Canada, the Property Act of your location. So ensuring that it has the appropriate things in there, that you have the option to be able to purchase that property, and you're the only one that can purchase the property during that time frame. And again, it's important getting these registered on title, having the caveat registered on title. So the owner cannot refinance the property. They cannot sell the property to anybody else. You are in full control of that property for that time frame, the next 3 years or next 4 years or whatever it is. So, and then, like I said, fixing your credit, building your down payment, RSPs, TFSAs, whatever works best for you. Like I said, I don't recommend just putting it into a savings account because you'll end up dipping into it. People always do. And the 3 years goes by, whether you want it to, it goes quickly, whether you want it to or not, and you can end up with no money. So no money left in there, and not enough for down payments. Plus you have to prove where the money comes from. That's huge. So you just can't borrow money from somebody or get a loan or something, because the bank needs to see where that money comes from, and you need to prove where it comes from. So that's why it's important to have like these accounts. And worst case scenario, if you had to get a gift from a family member, as long as you get it more than 3 months prior to the purchase, and you put all of that money into your lawyer's trust account, as long as it sits in your lawyer's trust account for at least 3 months. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I can't give legal advice. I can't give accounting advice. This is all for educational purposes. I just have to clarify that because I don't want anybody to say that, oh, John gave me this advice and now it didn't work. I'm going to sue him. You have to seek, legal advice, the appropriate advice, accountants, lawyers, whatever, to make sure that what you're doing is proper and done legally. But you can accept money from others, family members, as a gift or whatever. It's much better if it's sitting in a lawyer's trust account at least 3 months or more than 3 months in advance of purchasing the property. So that's closing the deal. That sort of going to wrap up our 4-part series, video series on how to buy a home with $100 down, even when the banks say no. As mentioned, basically through this book, I'm teaching you to do what I do. So I'm taking myself out of the equation altogether. I'm teaching you to go directly to the homeowner, to negotiate, to get that home that you can move into, and then save up for a down payment, fix your credit to buy it at the end of the term. So I've been doing this successfully in Canada since 2009. I've been helping people across the country, do this as a business or helping individuals get into homes, and it works everywhere in the country. There's not a place that this doesn't work. We don't work in Quebec just because the Quebec laws are different than all the rest of Canada's laws. So even though this does work in Quebec, there's different nuances that I'm not as familiar with, so I just say that this works everywhere in Canada except Quebec. It still works in Quebec, but there's different things that you have to do, and I've never worked in Quebec. So I've worked in all the other provinces doing this, helped people do this across the country. So like I said, I've done this very successfully. Thousands of homeowners have contacted me to take over their homes. And like I said, I draw my lines in the sand. If I can get it for this, great. If I can't, it's all right, because I know I've got 20 other people lined up for me to meet. So because remember, I'm doing it as business, I need to have a spread. You're doing it for yourself. Your spread you don't have to worry about a spread, but you still want to draw your lines in the sand. You still want to get it the best price and terms you can. You still want to make sure that you're only going after homes that you can qualify, that are in your price range. So in order to know that, you need to know what you would if you could qualify today, what would you qualify for? You also need to know the time frame that you need, and that's you're going to get that through a credit coach. Say, what do I need to do to fix my credit? How long would it take working with you to be able to get a traditional mortgage, and they'll tell you 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever that number is. So that sort of gives you your term. You're only going after homes that are less than 300,000, and you need at least 3 years. So that helps build your terms that are just set in stone in your program. So anyone that is more than 300,000, sorry, your home doesn't qualify. If they want less than 3 years, sorry, we're only doing a 3-year terms. That our program is only 3-year terms because 95% of our clients need 3 years. So if you're willing to do a 3-year term, we're happy to entertain taking a look at your home and working with you on your home. So that's ends video 4. So I want to thank you for watching or going through the 4-part video series. Hopefully it gave you a lot of great insight. Hopefully you've gone through the book as well to get even more detail with respect to getting into a home for only $100 down. Who do you go? How do you do it? Who do you go after? How do you attract them? Negotiating and then closing on the deal. So thanks for watching the video series. And if you have any questions, just shoot them over. But again, thank you. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the book. And hopefully you take some action. You go out there and you get into your very own home for $100 down. And when you do, just send me a message letting me know that this worked for you and you're able to do this. And I'd be happy to help use you as a testimonial for the program. But I highly encourage you to go out and take some action, put these things in place, and let me know how you do once you've succeeded, once you're in your new home. Take a family picture and send it off to me. I'd love to see you in your new setting. So again, thanks for watching the 4-part video series. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the book, How to Get Into Your Home, how to buy a home for $100 down, even when the banks say no. And look forward to all of the photographs coming in of you in your new home. So take care, and thank you very much.